Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb, here at the Summit for Wealth Management in London. My great pleasure to introduce you to another Toby Brown. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Listen, great to have you on, Toby. You've been here all day. You were one of the turns earlier on. You've been up on stage talking to people. How's it all been so far?
Yeah, it's been going really well. Some really interesting topics, and yeah, really enjoying the event today.
Fantastic. And tell us a little bit about yourself and Beauhurst, and we'll come on to what you've been talking about a little bit later on. But tell us about Beauhurst and the background to the company.
So Beauhurst is a data platform of every private company in the UK, including every director, shareholder and key person. Basically working with private banks and wealth managers to find high net worth individuals, so quietly wealthy individuals, but also ones en route to an exit event, and helping them get in touch with them before the masses get involved, essentially, and network in that space more broadly.
So you couldn't be more lined up to the event today, right?
Perfect, yeah, exactly.
Excellent. And tell, you were on stage, as I said beforehand. Tell us a little bit about what you've been talking about so far.
Yeah, so basically talking about the opportunity in the market today to connect with founders on track to exit. So shifting thinking away from exited founders and people who have created lots of wealth to actually taking it a few steps before to how can we connect with businesses and founders en route to this exit event.
Yeah.
And the opportunity dormant in capitalizing on following equity funding, growth events, looking at people approaching retirement age and how, but being a bit proactive and data-led, you can find yourself connecting and having a relationship with people as they realise their wealth, as opposed to sort of hopping on a bandwagon post-exit event, really.
And I think that's a really interesting sort of play, isn't it? Because this has been a pretty traditional industry, and what we're talking about here is utilising data in sales a little bit better, which makes obvious sense. What are some of the sort of things that you feel are holding people back from business development in this sort of arena?
I think there's two sides of it. There's the data side and then the sales side. So on the data side of things, I think people sometimes have a bit apprehension of onboarding tools, and they think it's going to take up more time to sort of be data-led and actually understand how they could benefit from using data and tools. Our sellers, obviously, that actually you're doing a lot of this data collection manually. You know, the Google searches, the researching, looking on Companies House. It's being done, it's just being done in a slow way to a degree. And then the other side is appetite for sales. I think advisors don't like to see themselves as salespeople when they are, so whether they like it or not, they're trying to win clients. So I think sometimes when we speak to advisors, it's getting them over a barrier of like, look, you do speak to new people, you do win new clients. Let's have a chat about how maybe we can increase conversions by talking to the right people. It's kind of getting over that barrier, and had lots of time to speak to people. We don't do sales, and actually, 15 minutes into a conversation, they're meeting people at events, they're connecting on LinkedIn, they are doing sales. They might not like me saying this directly, but it's...
It's funny how that comes across, isn't it? Because you're right, it's, business development is a key part of it. My father was in law for a long time and never seen himself as a salesperson, but everything at the same sort of stage, you're always winning business. And I think the more you can direct that and make it as efficient as possible, absolutely where Beauhurst comes into it, right? And utilising stuff there, which means it's much more streamlined, deliberate, and particularly when you're talking to people who don't like calling themselves salespeople, the fact that they can add value and be directed at the right people, so it's not just making 500 phone calls to the wrong person hoping to kiss the right sort of frog. This is intelligent approaches to solving something and making people more efficient, which is exactly where the whole thing comes into it.
And it's actually trying to make it like less transactional, so you're not jumping on and saying, I want to be your advisor. It's actually steps before, how can I have a relationship and know who they know, like we'll network my way in, and it's supposedly tapping in actually to that relationship side of things, actually taking away from the transactional side, I think is the
and that's a really interesting part, because I think when people look at sales and they think transaction, it becomes that sort of dirty word that you're alluding to earlier on, right? But talk to me about what the ideal workflow of someone who's utilising Beauhurst in this space can look like, and what's the benefit to them of them approaching it that way?
So I think it depends on the person, really. I think there's a few different ones, and like to take some classic profiles, for a young advisor, it's probably sitting down and working out what your ideal client looks like, and building a search on Beauhurst for individuals. And the example I gave in my talk was a fintech founder. And using that to then see, okay, I'm going to set some weekly alerts on fintech founders raising equity. And then they log in, and every Monday morning they say, okay, there's 5 fintech founders that have had their first seed stage round. Send a couple LinkedIn connections out. So then over time, they're getting more alerts from these individuals, and as some of them move towards realizing their liquidity, they're finding themselves, okay, this one's worth following up with. Let's invite them to an event. Let's organize a lunch at the right time. So it's kind of like initiating the funnel with a big search and a long list, and then narrowing it down over time with weekly alerts on individuals that become higher and higher priority. And then, 5 years' time, these young advisors are going to find themselves friends with lots of people who are selling up businesses, and all they've done is direct some timely LinkedIn connections.
I think that's such an important part of it, isn't it? Because I think this space isn't necessarily about the conversion of call number one. It's about building relationships with the right people. I've spoken to numerous people over the years where it's been a process, and there'll be, I can think of one person where I met them from the other side of it, from the recruitment side of it at the same time. We were both coincidentally at Lord's at the cricket together. And so he'd been working on him, knowing there was going to be an event in that business that took another 3 years for him to get to that sort of stage. And when it did, he was there all the way through and took that through. And I think actually having that sort of product that can make what could feel like a lot of chasing loose ends become that much more accurate. And making the bets on the right people at the right sort of stage with data. Is to me exactly what all of this, the whole hype around data is all about. Yeah,
I think so, and it's in lots of instances actually decreasing the volume of what you're doing. It's just tracking, and it's realizing that there could be 3 new clients sat already in your network. But without a bit of data-led approach, it's really hard. And anecdotally, referrals can be hit and miss in either quality or quantity. I'm sure there are people out there who have got it nailed, but it's rare that you're going to get a consistent stream of really high quality clients coming in naturally. So it's just being a bit proactive and going to that meeting armed with, these are the 3 people that I know that if I'm doing a good job for you, can you put me in touch with?
And you've been here, as you say, on the stand all day today. You've had people coming up and talking to you. What are some of the things that they're looking about? What are the frustrations? Or the interest points? What's the general take of people on around the show today?
So I think there's lots of talk of the new demographic of affluent people, and the new wealthy individuals that are coming through. Like, we've got an aging demographic, and I guess the transfers of wealth within that. And I've been to really interesting talks today about who's going to benefit from these transfers of wealth, how can they advise clients off the back of it, and also some interesting stuff around alternative investment strategies for clients, all against the backdrop of uncertainty and what's going on sort of across the pond. And I think a big theme today seems to be around sensible conversations, having conversations, again, I'm not an advisor myself, but having conversations with clients around what do they want, and I guess planning for their retirement, succession, and what investments work best for them. I think a lot of it seems to be today around, there's lots of chaos out there, let's be sensible, and having an informed conversation can go a long way. That's the sort of vibe I'm getting.
And tell me a little bit about what's happening with you guys. So Beauhurst is a force to be reckoned with. It's been it's a well-established business. What's exciting over the course of this year? What's happening in the team and division in the business at the moment?
I think we've found a good fit in the market in this advisory space with helping people track wealth creators and movers and shakers, transactional companies as they move through. We've done so because we focus solely on the UK market. There's plenty of global data tools out there, and they do a really good job at getting really broad data sets. We've now done the UK market. We think we're leading tool there. I'm sure some will disagree, but we think we are. We're now expanding that. So we've got data in Germany now, and we're looking further afield. So we want to be leading tool in Europe. And we're just replicating on the foundation of really deep, accurate data. But how can we scale that? That's essentially our company mission at the moment.
Very good. And Toby, if they want to reach out and find out a little bit more and follow up and work out how data can transform their business, what's the best way to them to reach out to you?
So they can drop me a connection on LinkedIn, Toby Brown Beauhurst, which is Beauhurst, tricky spelling, or drop me an email at toby.brown@beauhurst.com.
Fantastic. Toby, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you very much indeed. Pleasure. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.